Welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Stores, and hanging out with me as always is
Rob Morphy.
Robert, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are a man down.
We are.
Our very own Christopher. Unfortunately, he was sick a couple weeks back, so we postponed.
We did.
But unfortunately, it kind of came back, kind of got him a little bit hard. So he won't be here for this episode, but we have a stand-in for for you folks out there on the $10 tier that are watching this, which is available at patreon.com/cryptonautpodcast. You can watch us do the podcast.
Sure can.
You can see our bodies. You can see our emotions, our hands.
So exciting.
Our hats, and our special guest over here.
Nathan Graham, the alien dead.
Nice. And
thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. And shout outs to Mr. Cole Harold.
Oh, my God, yes.
For giving that to us. I believe it was a Christmas present.
It was one of the greatest gifts I think we've ever received as a podcast. And we received some absolutely amazing gifts.
Yeah. So if you're on there, if you're on this tier, you're watching it, yes, he might not have a lot to say.
No.
But his presence is felt.
You know what it does? Certainly nothing can replace Chris, but it makes us feel like it's a less empty space.
Exactly.
And he's there, and he's holding down the fort.
And much as if Chris is here, I keep looking over.
Yeah, you do. So do I.
Yeah. Because we really don't ever address each other. So
no.
It's just strange.
And I got to say, as much as I was like a well-versed horror kid back in the early 80s when the film came out, and everyone who knows Nathan Graham knows what that is. And if you don't, well, fucking Google it. That zombie particularly scared the living shit out of me.
Oh, for sure, dude.
It was one of the creepiest fucking parts of that movie.
It's awful. It's actually, that zombie is featured very nicely on the vinyl sound, the vinyl score that I have from Waxworks Records. Yeah, it's pretty dope.
I've never really paid attention to the score of that movie. I remember it was pretty good.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Actually, I got Creepshow 1 and 2. It's pretty dope.
Well, you just gave it away, fuckface.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, damn it. Yeah.
But you know what? Creepshow 2 blows. We can all acknowledge that. The wooden Indian thing, and I would only say it because that was the context it was used in, like a cigar store thing. Obviously, Native American is the preferred term. Coming to life in the most slow, rubbery way possible was a grind. And I love George Kennedy, the raft was the shit.
The raft fucking ruled.
Even though it's just a big fat fucking garbage bag. I don't even know what it was.
I was even
But it killed everybody, and I've always known those rafts were dangerous. That taught me how and why.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what's going to teach us how and why? Mikey Story Part 4.
Oh, yeah, it will.
The body.
Yeah.
Now, not to give spoilers, but guess what? After this episode, this is not the end.
No.
This is not over.
Shockingly.
We are not wrapping this up. There will be one more episode.
Inaccurately predict the ending last week?
Yeah, but we inaccurately predict everything.
Everything.
I
remember my initial thoughts on COVID.
Yeah, we all remember that.
Sneeze twice and grow up.
In our Mothman series, we definitely did not predict that very well. No.
Nope. So, we are not prognosticators. We don't pretend to be, but it turns out this is going to be a 5-part saga. There's definitely only one part left. I know that for a dead-up fact. It just can't go any further.
No.
But stories tell themselves, and this part of Mikey's saga is a pretty dark episode, but it's essential to the story, and I named it lovingly The Body, after Stephen King's 1982 novella of the same name, which of course went on to be produced as the epic coming-of-age drama Stand By Me in the mid-'80s, 86, I think, or somewhere around there, by Rob Reiner. And so this is a coming-of-age story revolving around a corpse in much the same way.
So wait a minute, are we going to have our own Ray Brower moment in this?
Oh my God.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, there is an epic Ray Brower moment coming up in one of our videos. I don't know if it's Patreon or if it'll be on YouTube. I think it might be a Patreon, where we seriously break down the merits of Mr. Brower.
Yes, but he might be an American hero.
He might well be. Yeah. Save that for then. This is just an homage to that. The prophesized Kiss Army is definitely going to be the last episode, which is next week, God willing.
Well, you know what, man? We're gonna hold on for dear life and see what happens.
Fucking A right we
there it is. All right, Mikey Story Part 4, The Body. Let's get started with, after surviving an attack by a family of diseased cow-devouring monsters, 10-year-old Randy Cutrara thought the worst was behind him. But little could he have known that he was about to be sucked into an insidious conspiracy involving crazy cryptids, amateur autopsies, shallow graves, and a clandestine contingent of Indigenous intelligence agents who, by all appearances, are tasked with solving North America's burgeoning Bigfoot problem.
That's a lot.
That's so much in an intro.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information, Robert.
It really is.
Honestly, without further ado, good sir, let's do this.
Fucking A right.
Let's dive in, buddy.
After a night consisting of two of the most manic and frankly terrifying cryptid encounters ever chronicled, young Randy woke up just after dawn to an empty house. His sister was spending the night with a friend, and a note told him that his parents had left to go run some errands. If it weren't for the bruises dotting his body and the lingering pain in the freshly stitched incisions that ran from his abdomen to his thigh, given to him by an overzealous mom squatch hell-bent for some reason on depantsing him, the events of the previous evening might have been nothing more than a horrible, far too realistic dream. But Randy knew better. Bizarre though his memories undeniably were, it was all true.
It's a tough morning.
It's a tough morning.
Not good.
Alone, 10, beaten, bruised, bloody.
Just not ideal. I feel for him, man.
You know,
That's
some
tough.
asshole ate all the marshmallows out of the Lucky Charms. And back then, Lucky Charms weren't the sweet, delicious treats they are today. The grain part was like cardboard.
It was.
In 77, it was a fucking shit show.
Just cut your mouth.
That was
That's all
horrible.
it was.
Not like Captain Crunch, though. You might as well eat a fucking candied apple full of glass.
It's all razors.
It really is.
All razors. All
I love it. Just got to get that milk in there at the right time. Not when
gotta-
it's soggy, but not when it's deadly. You just got to time it.
Well,
Captain Crunch protocols.
Yes.
While scrounging around for some breakfast, the morning stillness was broken by the ring of a telephone. In his May 2023 video, Morse Lake Monsters, Chapter 4, Part 1, Childhood Bigfoot Encounters, Alto, Michigan, 1977, again, thorough. Go back, watch them. They're fascinating.
Yeah.
As well as the Morse Lake Monsters full documentary, both of which we will be intercutting between throughout this piece. So those are the two sources. And I'm going to say this in advance. If you're looking for specific quotes to like future scholars out there, a lot of times the stories don't have a lot of incongruities. So I got to give them credit for that. But I like cut and paste like a DJ different parts of the quotes to tell the story more completely
From just two different sources.
Absolutely. And the two
Gotcha.
sources were just mentioned. So if you want to see those two sources, those are they. And when you hear me saying quotes, it's usually one or the other or a combination thereof.
Yeah, and again, both of those documentaries are available on YouTube.
Yeah, on the Midwestern Bigfoot Researchers webpage, which we mentioned thoroughly in previous episodes.
Yeah, so all the information's out there. You can go your own little deep dive.
He is prolific as fuck.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he has made, I mean, I couldn't possibly do the deep dive on all the videos. I've tried to listen to most of the interviews, the complete documentaries, and then his piece by piece saga just to do the story justice, but it is a fucking lot. And it's worth it if you're interested.
Not only is he an artist, he is a content creator.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Okay. So within the context of these videos, Randy claimed, quote, "The next morning, I get a strange phone call from Tim's dad. This is the part I hate to even talk about or think about, but I think about it every day. The whole thing plays in my mind like a movie if I let it sometimes, and my mind is idle. I really don't like talking about this part. I get up in the morning and I get a phone call from Tim's dad, Tom, and he said, 'I found your hairy friend. Do you want to come see him before I give him to the government guys?'" Which is how we ended last week's pod. And
yes, that was our...
it is like the fuck. Like, you want to see your hairy friend one more time before the government comes, scoops it up?
Yeah, man, this is like a bringing the dog to the vet moment. Where you're like, oh God, this is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Or vengeance.
No,
perhaps.
I mean, there's a smidge of the old yeller
There's
in
a
this.
little bit, yeah.
Little touch.
A little bit.
Little dapple.
Yeah. All right.
Without finishing breakfast, Randy raced outside, hopped onto his 10-speed, and began pumping as fast as his legs would go. He wasn't sure what state his inhuman playmate / assailant would be in, but he knew, based on the amount of blood he had seen at Tim's house the night before, that chances were nothing could have survived a point-blank blast from a .30-30 Winchester. A churning combination of dread and excitement began to build in the youngster's stomach as the dark trees and endless rows of corn sped by in a blur. Though he couldn't have known it at the time, Randy's life was about to, as it had so many times in the past week, once again change forever. this kid went through the most pivotal coming of age summer.
Yeah, man.
In the most paranormally saturated way, I think, that I've ever read about or heard.
Like today is like the first day that, like, you know, in pod time, the kids went back to school.
Right.
Like if you go back to school and you're like, how's your summer, Randy? You just gotta be like, let me get a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly. Let me get a shot of bourbon.
Yeah, I'm gonna start talking about
I need a pack of barbs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fucking tell you about my summer.
He just unrolls
because it starts with a kidnapping attempt that they heard that they thought was a prank, but ends up not being a prank.
It goes into an assault by like cow devouring crazy fucking creatures, and then it ends with his buddy turning on him, and then more people. This is a lot, man.
There's a lot.
It's too much.
Yeah,
it's just too much. Too much for one kid.
Right.
This is a lot to go through.
As he rounded the corner into Tim's backyard, the curiosity and excitement that had fueled his furious pedal down to the neighbor's house now ebbed, as the harsh reality of this expedition began to dawn. Quote, when I got to Tim's house, the first person I met down there was another kid that was living next door. He was a couple of years older than me, probably about 12 or 13. His name was Brad. Classic late 70s name.
There you go.
Vintage. Knew a lot of Brads. Brad wasted no time in telling the younger boy that Tom and his father were over in his yard and that Randy should follow him. The 10-year-old dropped his bike on the lawn, and as the two boys crested a large hill that overlooked the neighbor's expansive backyard, Randy reminisced. Brad's house sat up on a hill on the other side of the creek, maybe 2.5 acres away, something like that, 3 at the most, and when you're up there, you can look down at Tim's house, end quote. As they approached the older boy's house, Randy could see some figures in the distance, standing just over 20 feet away from a massive old pole barn that was flanked by an overgrown thicket. Not far away, a large hole had been dug by a backhoe where a pair of horses, both victims of PBB, you remember the fucking industrial poison that ended up in the animal feed that killed so many thousands of fucking livestock and also affected adversely so many humans and clearly fucking Bigfoot type creatures as well. So the PBB issue we dealt with thoroughly in previous issues.
Yep.
Where both of these PBB killed horses were to be interred.
So they're putting them in the ground.
They're going to just, I don't know why they're not waiting for the government to pick them up.
It's not good for the water table, dude.
And well, think about all the dead cows piled up next to the creek, because when the water rinses through them, it'll clean it out, according to the fucking farmer. Nice going, 1977. This is why. This is why. I'm not even going to say what.
It's
just
okay.
This is why.
This is why. All right.
Fucking fucks.
There you do better.
Yeah, please.
Dear 70s, do better.
Oh, it's too late. All right. So, yes, not good.
Gotcha.
For reasons that will soon be clear, the chore had been left unfinished, and the 2 horse carcasses were situated by the deep hole and a nearby pile of soil. Put a pin in that for now. It will play later. Tim's dad, Tom, who'd shot Mikey the night before in an effort to save his son, you remember the bedlam at the house,
oh yeah,
stood next to a picnic table situated between the barn and the open grave. He looked disheveled. His shirt was soaking wet, and he carried with him his trusty .30-30 Winchester. On the other side of the picnic table stood Brad's bespectacled, tightly permed, mustachioed, Adidas tracksuit-clad father, who I assumed would have a rad name like Roscoe or Armand, but was in fact a good old-fashioned Bill.
Oh, good old Bill.
Shout out to super producer Bill.
Shout out super producer Bill.
He's Bill.
He's our boy right
but
there.
He's sweet. He's a hipster.
Maybe we should get our Bill a tracksuit.
Oh my God. It's the least we can do.
Totally.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Like bright blue with the white stripes, like old school. Yeah, he'd look so good.
He would too.
Oh my God, his wife would fucking love us for that.
Bastard.
He is a handsome bastard.
He's very tall too.
And he's so modest about it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so tall and handsome and smart.
Yeah.
God damn, Bill. God damn it, Bill. Hope you're listening, buddy. Okay. The 2 men, one a working class dad and the other a late 70s fashion plate, were staring down at what at first seemed to be a shapeless, moist mass that was barely long enough to fit atop the picnic table. But as Randy and Brad drew ever closer, his heart sank when he realized that the shapeless mass was Mikey. Lying there like that, flat and immobile, eyes dull, head lolling off to the side, the spark of life so terrifying the night before, now gut-wrenchingly absent. All conspired to make Mikey look somehow smaller, younger, and worse yet, unmistakably dead. As they got closer, Randy heard Tom explaining to Bill that the night before a group of government agents had searched the property hoping to find the wounded Mikey and perhaps his parents. But in the Stygian darkness, they'd met with no luck. He added that they were planning on returning that day with bloodhounds to finish the job, but before they had the chance, Tom had stumbled across the juvenile's carcass face down in the same creek that was now thoroughly contaminated by the PBB poisoned cattle, which we just talked about earlier. Randy picked up the account describing a tragic moment that was about to turn into a truly terrifying scene. Quote, as me and the other boy approached the picnic table, there was a movement in the brush next to the barn. Out popped Mike's parents. Both of them stood up and started roaring. They made a hell of a noise, and Brad and I ran as fast as we could up to the house, and we turned around, and Brad's dad, Bill, was screaming, and Tom grabbed his gun and started shooting and running after them again. He scared off the two adults that were trying to reclaim Mike's body. Tim actually drove them away, and we could see them continue to run over the hills behind the pole barn, and they went south, and Brad's like, in, this is my aside, in what one imagines were cool tones, just like all the other disaffected 70s teens. Well, that's what a Sasquatch looks like. Randy concluded. They ran away on all fours, but when they approached, they were on their hind legs. They were walking. It really freaked out Brad's dad.
Yeah, Brad and his dad just got a real taste of some shit.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, well,
it's funny because, Brad's like, so that's a fucking Bigfoot.
Yeah, Brad's dad
Well, Brad's
shit in his tracksuit.
Give it a moment.
Yeah.
In fact, Bill had been so terrified by the sudden appearance of these bellicose behemoths, justifiably enraged and mourning their son's death, that he had inadvertently evacuated his bladder.
Oh, he pissed his tracksuit?
Fuck yes.
You know what, though? I'm going to say this. Understandable.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
No judgment.
No.
Zero
if
judgment.
I was there, I would piss my tracksuit in solidarity with him.
I mean,
like,
you
good
see,
sir, let us piss together.
You're fine. Exactly.
Yes. In horror.
It's an Adam Sandler moment.
In horror. Yes,
in horror. You know what?
Yeah.
Here's what happens now.
Exactly.
IP.
Yeah.
We are now anointed with piss, sir. Now let our fucking next decisions be blessed.
Yeah, let's do better.
Wow. So all right. So Randy picks up the story.
All right.
We watched for a couple. Oh, I read all that shit all about. No, I didn't. I think we watched for a couple of seconds. Jesus Christ, I can't find. I'm so caught up.
You're so fine. You're good. You're good.
We watched for a couple of seconds, then we headed back over to the picnic table. Brad's dad peed his pants. His tracksuit, his Adidas tracksuit that he just bought. The reason I say this is that he was really mad about it. He didn't want anybody to know about it. We were trying not to laugh, and he's going like, don't ever tell anybody this. He said, if this ever goes down in history, make sure nobody ever knows I peed my pants. So legit, because this is arguably one of the greatest moments in the history of zoology.
Man, Brad's dad just took a quick piss.
And he's a man that, I mean, he takes the time to get a tight perm. He's got, wait till you see the illustrations. He's got these like thick ass, like late 70s cool guy glasses, like a well manicured mustache. Like he could have been a porn star if he was just living a little further west. But no, he's fucking rocking.
Sometimes,
Michigan.
Man, sometimes you got to embrace something like this. Be like, I want to go down in the history books as the man who was here, saw those things, pissed his pants, and then lived to tell the tale.
Lived to tell the tale.
That's right. Because
not everyone's so lucky.
He's a survivor.
Oh my God.
There you go.
You just nailed it. You made him a hero.
There it is.
Fair enough.
Just wash your tracksuit. It's fine. Once you pissed, you're not going to burn it.
Right.
Like, it's okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's fine. Just
you wash it.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like little drops of piss don't hit your pants sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the fucking way of the dick.
Yeah. Dude.
It just happens.
It is
like
what it is,
whenever
man.
I used to like wear like fancier jeans that show that shit. Like I'd shake that shit, but I would like keep it at a distance. I'd stand at weird angles, the
weird backsplash.
Yeah, if it was like a weird special khaki pair or something, I was some fancy thing. I might even like undercover just to make sure.
You gotta take them off.
No, I know.
You
gotta respect. Sometimes you're gonna get a little drip.
Just gotta pee naked.
I'm just saying, Bill.
Bill.
I feel you.
There it is.
I'm feeling you, Bill.
All right.
Okay. In a rush to change the subject, Bill barked at Tom, asking how these huge, hairy creatures could have snuck up on them. Tom just pointed to the tall layers of unkempt vegetation adjacent to the barn and, quote, the next thing I knew, Brad's dad was getting on his tractor and he was going to move all that brush. While he was removing all the brush, Tim's dad asked me to run back over to his house and get him a new shirt. Remember, he's soaking wet at this point.
Oh, yeah.
From the creek retrieval. Oh, he's about to say it again. He'd gotten all wet getting Mike out of the creek where he'd found the body. Didn't need to add any of that. It was right there in the quote.
It's okay.
I'm an idiot.
We're doing it.
So I ran down to the house and grabbed him a new shirt out of the package that he'd just bought. While I was getting the shirt, Brad was getting a camera. That family was into photography and they had their own darkroom. He had the camera ready when I got back with the shirt. And just a little aside, how was it like a time, not in your life, a few years before you were born, in my very young life, when you could just tell a random stranger's kid to fucking run 6 acres away to grab you a shirt and that was just what happened?
You know,
I'm not saying I'm glad that it's not like that anymore. I am glad. I don't want to boss around strangers' kids, but Jesus fucking Christ.
Different time, man, you know?
Half a century.
Yeah.
Give or take.
There you go.
All right. So Brad gets the camera, he gets the shirt.
Sweet.
After Tom quickly changed, the foursome set up what ought to have been one of the most famous photos of the 20th century, if not all time, but it was not destined to be.
Well,
table that for a minute anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Clearly, because we don't fucking know it.
Piles of evidence.
So much. The videotape. So many photos that are about to be taken. Dude, it's a fucking, it's a dick kicker that never stops the swelling of the nuts.
Okay.
It's
well,
so hateful.
there you
But let's
go.
continue. Tom and Bill hefted Mikey's dead weight off the picnic table, holding the wet corpse up by its armpits. Bill strategically had Randy stand in front of him, thus blocking the wet spot on his pants, though God only knows why he didn't just run into his fucking house, which was right there, and make a quick change of the clothes.
Yeah, just put a pair of jeans on, dog.
Jesus Christ. Dude, you know, the tracksuit's not, I mean, do you own another? And if you don't, you probably got a nice shirt.
If you own one, you got to own
You got to have like a cowboy shirt at 77. It was
Yeah,
all the rage. Urban Cowboy,
exactly.
Rhinestone Cowboy. All the cowboys were there.
Yeah, nice pair of leather pants.
Come on.
Yeah.
Chaps. Assless chaps. They're all assless. I know.
All chaps are assless.
As we've discovered.
If they're not, they're just leather pants.
They're just leather
There
pants.
you go. All right.
Yeah, and then it's Right Said Fred. So it's
Dude,
fine.
that's Jim Morrison, dude. There
Oh
it is.
my God. Oh, what is it? Frankie Goes to Hollywood. I love their music.
you
Oh,
know.
those guys. And they know how to wear leather.
Yeah. Well,
Bless them.
R.I.P. Lemmy, the god of leather.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, legit.
Yep.
Okay. So he doesn't change. While his son, Brad, so the two guys are standing there. Randy's blocking the piss spot, the fucking dead baby Bigfoot or whatever the fuck it is being held up. So while his son, Brad, snapped off 2 quick pics. Years later, Randy, in what was to be one of the most haunting images in his already alarming gallery of illustrations, which we've talked about and we've referenced, and they're on his Facebook page, and we've used them as some of the sample pictures.
Yep.
Drew one of the photos taken that fateful day. It depicted Tom and Bill beaming like proud hunters over a righteous kill, while Randy's own face remains a stoic mask of barely concealed resentment and regret. Or maybe that's just how I read it. I have to admit, art is interpretive.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it. Make your own
He
judgment.
could be celebrating.
No, but he wasn't happy.
No, probably not.
He did not look happy. And based on his real reluctance to tell this part of the story, I don't think this was something he was happy about.
He was probably pretty bummed out about.
Oh, absolutely. After the men returned Mikey to the table, they decided that it was time to make a more thorough examination of the carcass, starting with the extremities. Quote, "We noticed the hands. We looked at the feet. His eyes were open. They had blood on the inside, like around the iris and the white part, and just like floating around the eye. Bill said that this was probably because of all of his blood getting pumped out of his body, and some of it ends up in the eyes. But to me, it looked more like a neon red," end quote. This observation is intriguing as it indicates that this thing's glowing red eyes might be less a paranatural phenomenon and more a case of bioluminescence or something akin to it. Randy further noted that Mikey's eyes resembled those of a gorilla, except that his iris was much, much larger and golden brown. I don't know what color gorilla eyes are. They might be golden brown too, but apparently he did comparative studies with photographs on the line, and apparently the irises were epically big.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Sure. I don't know.
Totally.
Then, quote, "Tim's dad gently closed his eyes, and we started looking at his teeth. We opened the jaw a little bit, and the teeth looked all blocky. They didn't look like they had incisors or small canines like we do. They were just big, blocky teeth. Like I guess a mouthful of molars.
Yeah, weird.
And as soon as we opened the jaw further, we could see that the gums were black and the tongue was black. The gums and the roof of the mouth had pink spots, much like dogs sometimes do, end quote. So, I mean, we've all seen the inside of a dog's mouth, and we've seen that where it's either pink with black splotches or the other way around.
Or they have weird gums. Yeah. I mean, it's okay.
It's interesting. It's not saying that it proves it's real, but it's an interesting note that you never really hear about Bigfoot or any, hominid or hominoid type cryptids.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's an intriguing observation. I mean, make of it what we will. It doesn't confirm anything.
Yeah, totally.
While distending the creature's jaw, the men were stunned by the appearance of the retractable back canines or tusks that Randy had marveled at a day earlier. You remember that, I'm sure. Watching these bizarre back fangs slip in and out of the gum line evidently had a profound effect on Tom and Bill, leading Randy to surmise this is where everything changed. I think until this point, they were still planning on handing the body over, but that really freaked them out. They decided that this was a dangerous animal. Really, the teeth were so far back, I don't know if they could actually do anything, but that's what prompted them to go like, well, we've got to let people know about this. They had to take pictures and get the word out, end quote. So, for some reason, at least in Randy's perception, they're going to hand it over to the government guys when they show up. But when they see these weird retractable back of the, molar fangs popping out.
Yeah, that throws them for some reason?
Evidently?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No.
I mean, they're weird. Not as weird as a bubbling face, but they didn't see that, obviously.
Yeah. And I can't remember. Did he have retractable fangs too in the front or no?
No.
Okay.
No, they were always in the
That's
back.
Weird. That is a weird tusk. Like, what is that for?
I mean, you're not going to envenomate anything.
It's useless.
It doesn't help you, like, rend flesh, I don't think.
It just kind of, like, screws your bite up.
You'd think.
If they come out. Like, what's the point of
Unless you get something so deep in there and they're, like, one of the very, very rare venomous primates, but...
Yeah.
Even then,
weird.
I think some snakes have back fangs. I'm not sure, but I don't fucking know what it does.
The front to use them as a weapon seems
Makes perfect
more
sense.
likely.
Canines in the front, perfect sense.
Totally, but in the back that are retractable? Huh, okay. Weird.
Unless, because they hunt such large prey, maybe they are venomous mammals, and when you like get a deep bite, you don't want it like to happen all the time, like when you're eating a rabbit or something, because then it might poison it. But if you're like taking down a fucking elk or a moose,
right,
and you get it like deep in there, and it just helps slow it down a little. I mean, this is crazy pissing in the wind speculation.
The people on Patreon are watching me reenact this. I'm like, I don't know how to. I don't know. Do it.
And we don't have Bigfoot maws. We don't fucking know. No. So we don't know, but we do know that Bill and Tom are like, the fuck.
Yeah, they're not having this.
Yeah, so.
All right, you better call the National Enquirer, boys.
It was at this point when the men realized that they had no intention of handing Mikey's corpse over to the authorities that this already grim situation took a decidedly darker turn. Randy continued, they're apparently both hunters and they're both talking, so I'm listening as much as I can. My dad was a hunter, but I'd never seen anything like what was about to happen. Bill already had a hunting knife on him and he decided to cut him up. They were going to dissect him in front of the camera and make me watch.
Oh, Jesus.
I know.
Okay, spoiler alerts, amateur autopsy.
Yeah, hey, and the prophecy is fulfilled. Hence the intro.
Yes,
makes sense. We got the crazy cryptids. The parents showed up.
I'm just going to put
crazy
it out there.
With rage and grief.
This seems unnecessary.
Does it now?
Yeah.
Huh.
It sure does.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, all right, listen, just to play devil's advocate, which I do, I agree with you. 100% unnecessary. But these are two hunters. They are used to...
So they're going to like field dress it?
We're going to get to that in a minute.
Okay, this makes no sense.
So maybe they just want to know. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I mean, I get curiosity, and I get you'll never get this chance again.
No, I get it. And we'll continue, but it kind of makes sense if they're like, we're not going to give it to the government guys. So maybe
let's find out.
I don't
want to
read too deeply, but maybe this is some sort of like dismemberment to get rid of the body parts. Maybe.
All right, well, you're not entirely off, but you're not entirely right.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's just nestle ourselves back in this lovely story.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bill pulls out his hunting knife and he goes to cut Mike's chest open. I've seen my dad cut open rabbits and deer and dress them, but this was different, end quote. As he said, Randy was no stranger to seeing freshly killed wild game before and after it had been field dressed, like you just said, Mark. But As he watched this grisly scene unfold before him, he knew that this was different. Mikey may have been frightening, but he'd also been intelligent, curious, fun, and, at least until last night, very much alive. And a young Randy, seeing this creature, this fellow child, in such a gruesome and sorry state was like a punch to the gut. He continued. And here is as good a time as any for a trigger warning. This shit's about to get messy.
Okay, so yeah, if you don't like super gory shit, I guess fast forward until
a few seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't. Right. It doesn't last long. It's really not that bad.
Well,
I'm just trying to warn. If you don't like it,
if you're not into the gore,
yeah, right,
yeah.
Quote: Bill cut him open and his guts spilled all over the place.
Oh boy!
I don't know if it was because he was in the water overnight in the creek, but everything just kind of spilled out. And the smell alone. I went over to the barn and puked, and they called me a baby and made fun of me. Fucking welcome to the 70s, bitches.
Wow, really?
It was a shit. 80s weren't any better.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't until knock on my fucking laptop. It wasn't until the fucking 90s that things started shaping up a little.
Okay, well, all right.
Tim's dad called me back over. He says, "You got to see this." I'm walking over there, and they're breaking open the breastplate, pulling open the ribs. I can still hear it. The wet sound of that snap and them opening it up. I didn't want to look. I just stood a little ways away, and then Tom calls me over, and they're trying to explain what they're looking at. The first thing they noticed was how big the lungs were, and the lungs were huge. They almost looked like a double set of lungs, but I couldn't remember exactly what they said about those, if they were or not. By the time I started focusing on what they were doing, they started looking at the heart. They were saying, "He's got 2 hearts. He's got no weight. It's a 2-chambered heart." Which, I mean, we have 4 chambers, right? I don't know.
I think we do, yes.
Okay, whatever. Fucking anatomy.
You know what? Maybe we don't.
Who the fuck cares?
Leave your messages in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know shit about anything. We don't know what's south of Pennsylvania.
We got 17.
I refuse to know.
A large 17-chambered heart.
I think so. That just makes sense to me.
Exactly.
That's how many I need.
I'm going to say 4.
And they found the trajectory of the bullet hole. I think they actually put a pencil or a pen in there where they found the bullet hole. It actually shot Mike through the lung and right through the larger part of his heart, and he probably survived on the other side of his heart. End quote.
Okay.
So I guess like a baby heart next to a big heart and double lung. I don't know how fucking the Squatch work.
I'm assuming.
You'd think you'd need, like, if you're going to fucking hike like they do, and have a body as massive as it is and weighs as much as it is, you're going to need to process a lot of oxygen.
But it's not 2 hearts. It's just a 2-chambered heart.
But like one off, like a baby one off to the side is how I'm.
Oh, so there is 2 hearts.
It's a different chamber, but it looks like a separate heart.
Okay, weird.
Based on all the shit I've read and heard.
Okay, gotcha.
I might not have reflected it well in my writing, so I can understand your confusion, but that is the impression I have.
So 2 chambers, one's just like off kilter. Cool.
A little baby heart sticking off the main heart. I don't know, like a Belial heart.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Well,
yeah. So odd. I don't know. We
Definitely
don't
odd.
Know. But Randy is assuming that it was that secondary, if not tertiary heart. God knows how many.
Yeah.
Just like saying tertiary. Fucking that allowed him to survive enough to climb out of the house after he'd been shot point blank through the window and then die eventually trying to get some water or something in the
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. Shit.
During this decidedly amateur autopsy, the men then turned their attention to Mikey's genitals, or more precisely, the apparent lack thereof. After some more Bush League butchery, they found that his penis and testes were actually embedded inside the pelvis, evidently not manifesting until the need arose. Randy continued, and we're dropping that subject.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about that.
The whole time Brad's taking pictures, and then they decided to chop Mike's arm off.
Don't see why we have to do this.
I believe it was the right arm.
Okay.
It was then that this sloppy bit of surgery was suddenly interrupted by the unmistakable sound of dogs barking in the distance. Randy recalled just then the government guys with the bloodhounds started pulling into Tim's house, which was down below. We were up on a hill, so we had a little bit of an outlook. The government guys were pulling in with a couple truckloads full of bloodhounds in the back of them. We knew the rest of the government guys were going to show up soon, and they were going to look for Mike's body that Tim's dad had already found.
Yeah, this is going to be a weird way to describe this. Be like, well, we got him. Parts of him? I guess. Yeah, like.
Oh, it's not over.
Oh man, this just seems really bad.
It's a dark episode.
No,
like
this is very.
I mean, it's not. It is like I say, it's coming of age and it deals with the corpse. So the body analogy with Stephen King is valid, but it's somehow much worse because it wasn't about like 4 kids dissecting Ray Brower.
No, they didn't do that.
That would have been, or their dads.
No.
So, all right. I stand by my analogy.
All right. I mean, I think at this point, the trigger warning is over.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, they already did all the shit. And
okay.
They're chopping off the limb, which we're still going to talk about.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they hear the dogs barking.
Oh, okay. Jesus Christ.
Instantly, panic set in. Tom and Bill knew that if they were going to preserve this potentially dangerous predator's corpse, they would have to act fast. Randy picks up the account. They had already dug a hole for a couple of horses that died from PBB poisoning, as mentioned earlier, and they decided they were going to put the body in there to hide it and take the arm and put it in a different spot. What they did was they chopped off Mike's hand at the forearm, and then they put it in this little metal container that used to contain gloves, and they put it in the pole barn. They took the rest of his body and they threw it into that hole. They threw lime on the body. Then they threw the 2 horses on top of him. Then they used the backhoe to fill it and they threw the picnic table on it.
They did this all in a matter of minutes?
Kind of befuddling, isn't it?
Yeah, because...
Now, all right. So I agree. This has been something, I'm glad you pointed it out. This has been something that really was like, But all right, again, devil's advocacy. They're 3 acres away.
Okay.
Up a hill and then down another hill.
Right.
So they're not in the line of sight.
Okay.
You already have the dead horses, which I assume Bill was like digging the hole to bury the horses. I don't know why he didn't have them picked up.
The backhoe's right there. The horses
backhoe's right there. Dead horses are right there. Hole's already dug.
How much time do you have to put lime on Mikey?
Fucked if I know.
And why are you putting lime on him? It's going to dissolve the body. The whole point is to preserve it.
Well, I mean, you're right. All dumb.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Don't understand. Hey, we're just reporting.
Yeah, but I mean, doing all this in the time, I mean, you'd suspect they're going to be like, oh, look, they're throwing lime in the hole, and they have the backhoe, and then they're putting the picnic, like the picnic table is going to, they're like, nothing could ever be underneath that picnic table. That's clearly a standard picnic table.
It's clearly and standard dirt pile beneath the picnic table.
The picnic table, this was their temporary autopsy table?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so...
and they were smart enough to flip it upside down, by the way, so it looks like a fucking, I guess... a shitty little rowboat.
So the gore covered fucking table is upside down.
Smart.
You know what? Let's put a flag in this.
Yeah.
Let's just.
I will say, like you, I have a problem.
Yeah.
I can rational. I don't know how far 3 fucking acres are, or 2.5. I know it's more than a furlong.
Yeah.
Maybe. Then again, I don't know what a fucking furlong.
Now,
I don't know distances.
I'm Edward Furlong. I'm not saying that this
T2?
is Judgment Day.
Oh, Pecker.
I'm not saying that this is impossible. I'm just saying because this is all within the realms of possibility.
Sure. And they're not in the line of sight, and barking dogs are going to cover up some of the sounds.
Okay, yes, this is true. And they do have a backhoe, so honestly, the backhoe could make quick work of everything.
Zip zap.
Which the people for sure are going to hear the backhoe going.
You'd think.
Okay. All right, you know what?
It's farm country.
Yeah.
Why would they assume they're burying a fucking Bigfoot? They would assume
then when they said the table, they're going to be like, oh, that's not conspicuous at all.
All right. So all of this is going to play in.
Okay.
A lot of these things are going to be unresolved this week. They will be dealt with very thoroughly in the next episode. But I do agree with Mark in that there are some problems I have with this. Yeah. On the other hand, not only because I like to suspend my disbelief, but also because I'm trying to give deference to the witness.
Yeah. No, I mean, and also, too, he's a kid.
He's a kid.
Well, this is all happening, and he's going through some serious fucking PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, hard.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally a child.
And you got to remember, well, you don't know what's going to happen next. So here's the interesting thing.
Okay.
Because not only was all this shit going on, and they were, like, throwing the body in there and but, and this is Randy continuing, they did this in a hurry, and they sent me down as a decoy for the government guys. So they have a plan. Send a 10-year-old down to distract them.
This poor kid.
While they're burying horses and big feet, sans arm,
this poor kid.
Guts splayed everywhere, double lungs and 3 hearts ahoy.
Yeah. Oh, this poor kid.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I headed down there, and they did that while I was going down there. So I have a feeling he didn't stop and watch all this. He was running down there to do the intercept.
Okay, right, yeah.
And then he heard about it later.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
He continues. When I got down to Tim's house, the first truck with the bloodhounds still had the dogs in the truck, in the cages, in the back, and I was checking them out. It's a lot of ins, but you understand what's happening.
A whole lot of ins, man.
When asked by government agents what he was doing, Randy claimed that he had just been looking for his friend Tim and that he hadn't seen him or anybody else in the area. Decoy. It was at that moment, as if on cue, that a dark vehicle pulled up and out stepped John Redcorn, the legend.
Shit, he's back.
JR.
There you go.
Randy recalled. This car pulls in behind me, and I'm driving the dogs nuts. So he's just being a 12-year-old dick, picking on bloodhounds, trying to distract everyone. Get the fuck away from me, you punk kid.
Oh, man, that's funny.
All I'm seeing is like bad news bad news Browns. I almost said bad news Bears haircuts and like Buster Brown haircuts. You
Buster
remember
Brown
those?
haircuts,
Those little fucking
Bad
Dutch
News
boy
Bears,
under curls. And just being fucking shirtless dicks.
And
it's how I remember kids in the 70s.
Driving the dogs nuts.
Oh, and everyone had freedom. It was a dangerous world. If you were a kid going out, because I was very young in the 70s, but if you were a kid going out, not only were you going to be victimized by bullies, but you were utterly unsupervised, and it was just your parents better have trained you well, because there's going to be fires, there's going to be dumb shit, there's going to be danger at every turn. Like, I remember surviving the 70s, not living through them. Love the cinema, love everything about pop culture 70s, but when my actual memories of the 70s come up, not that I didn't have great childhood memories, I remember a lot of fucking sketch.
There's always that one kid that was really good with explosives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and a nub for a pinky, but that's okay.
No.
Who needs a pinky?
I remember going down there where you and Christopher lived in the Frazee trails, and there being plenty of an explosion that nowadays would have got us put on one of those lists.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, you guys are doing what with the who now? And we're like, nothing. We ain't blowing shit up. We ain't blowing up trees.
Nope.
Yeah.
None.
No, pipe bombs.
We're not using quarter sticks of dynamite.
Yeah. No, we're just dumb. Well, I'm surprised none of us died. Okay. Well, let's get back to our tale.
Yes. Old man story's over. Old cryptid stories.
And John Redcorn's on the scene, man.
He is. And that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, he's back.
Right on. So John Redcorn comes up and he asks me what I'm doing there. I just told him I was checking out the dogs and I haven't seen Tim's dad yet. Subtle. Fucking the master of decoys.
He's fucking reading through this kid's bullshit real quick.
And he said, well, I'm going up to your house anyway. Why don't you get a ride with me up to your house? So I did. I was off with John Redcorn up to my house. Decoy successful.
And he's not wrong.
End quote. So he's, justifiably proud of what he believed to be his top-notch distraction skills. It wouldn't be until they'd pulled into his driveway that Randy felt the wind go out of his sails. The first thing the boy noticed was that his dad's Dodge Polara was nowhere to be seen, meaning that his family was still out. But that's not what unnerved him. No, what put the 10-year-old on edge was the fact that as the taciturn Redcorn drove him past his house toward the barn, where he and his father had been held captive by the red-eyed Mikey, there was a sizable crew of government-sanctioned investigators clad head to toe in what he would later learn were hazmat suits, scanning the scene of last night's struggle. So now we're getting into ET territory.
Yeah, you got the cleanup crew, dude.
Yes.
There you go.
John Redcorn pulled to a stop next to some of the vehicles that had already parked outside the barn. Through the windshield, Randy watched as some of the plastic-clad team made plaster casts of Mikey and his parents' tracks, which would have been all over the fucking place.
Oh, my God. This place is just one giant pit of evidence.
Oh, my God. While another group were extracting hairs from the torn fence that Mikey's father, the big blonde squatch, as you recall, had dragged through the cornfield. A few squad members were taking measurements with various apparatuses, while a handful of others equipped with top-of-the-line cameras moved in and out of the barn. Randy was both frightened and enthralled. In his later years, he could not help but to wonder who these people were and how they managed to mobilize so fast. It was like one of those long-rumored recovery teams who are allegedly sent out to recover downed UFOs, except this was geared toward a whole other kind of paranormal phenomenon. Randy could see that this was a crack unit of efficient and orderly operatives with both scientific and military training, but who were they? And more importantly, what agency did they work for? Was it the FBI, CIA, NSA, DIA, or OSI, or some even more obscure organization? Could it be that there was a clandestine contingent of mostly indigenous agents who were tasked with North America's increasingly troublesome Bigfoot issues, and possibly even an array of other potentially paranormal problems too esoteric for traditional intelligence agencies? Or could it be that Randy's Native American escort was actually a member of the notorious Men in Black?
Oh, shit.
Randy didn't know. But one thing seemed clear. John Redcorn, or Jerry, or whoever he really was the man in charge, and he was clearly not a man to trifle with. The senior agent indicated that the boy should get out of the car, and the moment he did so, Randy was approached by a young man in a hazmat suit. John Redcorn told Randy that he was going to go back to talk to Tom, but they'd be seeing each other again soon. With that potentially ominous farewell, quote, John Redcorn left me with a guy who brings me into the barn where the encounter happened on the second floor. And this guy, I think his name was Kirk, he interviewed me and I told him everything that happened. While Randy came clean, at least about the previous night, hazmat-attired photographers milled around the barn, seemingly snapping photos of everything from the ropes and the hay bales to the broken wood and Randy's makeshift toys. And though we never covered it, he built a little, wooden and cardboard town in his, barn to play with when he was lonely before he made friends. And they're taking pictures of that, too. Huh. It's weird. It didn't really play into the story, so I never mentioned it, but it's just...
a child's loneliness.
Yeah. Lonely kids will make some crazy shit. God bless them.
Yeah. All right, man.
Wow. All right. And my heart goes out.
Yeah.
The intimidated kid had no way of knowing whether or not his smiling interrogator knew about Mikey's death and the subsequent discovery, but he promised he would not say a word about that morning's harrowing series of events, and Randy, showing a hell of a lot of moxie for a kid his age, was determined to keep his trap shut regarding the deceased Mikey's current subterranean whereabouts. Though he couldn't know this until later, at the same time he was being questioned by Kirk in the barn loft, just before John Redcorn took his leave, Randy's parents returned home from errands to find a gaggle of space-suited strangers wandering around their property like they owned the place. Understandably unnerved by the situation, Randy's mother rushed inside the house. Moments later, she burst out with her camera and began chronicling these faux futuristic trespassers on film. Randy set the scene, quote, John Redcorn was up at the house interviewing my dad, and my mother, well, she was running around taking pictures of the government agents casting tracks, which is a no-no. My sister, she was gone. I think Thursday night she went to stay with her friends, and when this happened, it was suggested that she stay there another night so she doesn't get involved and doesn't know. And
how is she not going to know?
You'd think
the family's going to be talking about this for years
to come.
Yeah.
She's going to feel left out. As terrifying as it is, she's going to be
100%.
like, I was just fucking having pizza and watching cartoons or whatever the fuck sleepovers consist of. And she was fucking like, oh, and they're like, oh, dude, it was like future people fucking taking cast. Dad and fucking, Randy got attacked by the Squatch. It was fucking nasty.
Hey, your sister's going to totally know
nasty.
This. Yeah.
But at that point, she didn't.
All right, well.
After what seemed like hours of going over this terrible series of incidents over and over again, Randy was escorted back to his house. Walking back, he could see that the hazmat crew seemed to have finished their investigation. Intriguingly, once inside, Randy was introduced to, quote, a couple of local Native Americans from two different tribes that used to be one tribe. I can't mention the tribes. Basically, after they heard my story, they gave me the name Little Chief Running Bear. Naked. Fucking dicks. They thought it was pretty funny that I was running around naked after I got attacked by a Bigfoot. This is weird. This is the end of the quote. For a few years to come, and for reasons known only to them, these tribal elders would become fixtures in Randy's life, but more on that later. We're going to break it down. It's not much, but we're going to break it down in the next episode.
Okay, weird.
But he's introduced to these two elder Native Americans from different tribes that used to be unified, can't mention, whatever.
Right.
And they're, making it light, making it fun, I guess, for a kid. Little Chief Running Bear
just
naked, whatever.
Throwing naked in there, yeah.
And that's fine. But why? And they kind of take him under their wing.
Okay.
And we'll find out more next episode. It's this whole part of the mystery is one of the most intriguing parts to me. Like, who are this crack unit of Native American and paranormal investigators that seem to know all about fucking Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And we're gonna next episode we're gonna find out they're like fucking on the ball.
And they're like working with local people apparently.
Oh yeah, like they've got connections with local, constabulary, local other government agents. I don't know if they're using multiple branches. I don't know if they have their own scientific unit.
Huh.
I don't know if they're a branch of the Men in Black or like any of the aforementioned acronyms. I mean, there's no way to fucking know.
Yeah, no.
But to me, it's fascinating. And who better? The people that have lived here forever, that their lore and their history is steeped in knowledge of this place. And if Sasquatch is real and they've been here forever, and like I know some tribes claim to have had wars with them and other things.
They know how to deal with them.
These are the people that would be best equipped. And I mean, it seems to me like a shockingly efficient use of government funds. Like usually it's just pissed away on dumb shit. It's like, oh yeah, get indigenous people to fucking deal with this very serious real problem.
$20,000 hammers, yeah.
So, I mean, who the fuck knows? But I mean, even if it's all pulled out of his ass, I still find this aspect fascinating.
Yeah, this is kind of neat. There's like a whole infrastructure baked into this.
So it's fucking crazy. But that's all that for that now. As he glanced around the house, it became clear to Randy that his parents had been through identical interrogations with John Redcorn and the other evidently exclusively Native American agents who were occupying his home. Randy explained, I spent most of my day talking to, I don't know who these agents were. They're all nice and friendly, but they told us not to talk about it. They didn't make any threats at that time. They just said not to talk about it. It's not a good thing, and we'll be back if you start talking about them. We'll hear about it. Somebody in the community will say something about it. Adding that, there'd be consequences.
Oh, and here we are on a podcast talking about it. Well, Randy already put it on YouTube.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Randy already put it
We're
out.
so down the totem pole. I'm absolutely not worried.
Hey, we're a part of it now.
Yeah, we are. We're part of it. Yeah. Hey, if we help it spread, if we get to talk to a Men in Black, all we're going to do is really hard. They'll be trying to intimidate us, be like, please come on the podcast, be anonymous, please talk, please.
Yeah, no, we're going to annoy the fuck out of them.
Oh my God, they're going to be like so dumb with us.
So mad.
Like, no.
Why are all of our tires slashed? Why are they running away? Oh, shit.
Oh, that would suck. Yeah. Don't do that. We can be intimidated without, money being spent.
Perfect.
Or
Nice.
people being threatened. All right. So now that I'm done being a fucking complete fucking coward.
It's okay. Whatever.
It was then that John Redcorn and his team took their leave. Randy later found out that the unit went down to join the other searchers who were already scouring Tom's and his neighbor's properties in search of Mikey's elusive carcass. When the sun finally went down, the team decided to call the search off. How they didn't find it, I do not fucking know. I don't know what an overturned picnic table on freshly fucking churned soil means.
Yeah, for being like top-notch agents, apparently, they like didn't look at the one spot where you're like, huh, you know what there, Mr. Redcorn? It could be something there.
In all fairness, maybe they really thought these people were going to work with them, that they wouldn't hide the body, that they would find it somewhere open, or that you assume maybe the Bigfoot parents snatched the body as they tried to do.
If you're the agency in charge of this, you don't have anything you have zero fucking loose ends.
You think.
You are on top of your shit.
That's why you should be
upturned picnic table covered in gore the other way around.
Well, if you look,
not going to throw them.
The gore is being washed away by the soil.
Bloodhounds too.
You're right. But I mean, you'd think they would be able to smell the blood.
They 100% would be able to smell the blood.
See, I didn't even think about the dog factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Just smell the carpet in Tim's house, and go outside and be like, fucking picnic table, dirt.
I mean, and plus you're out in the open. It's pretty yeah. I mean, I guess the wood was touching the dirt, hence the scent. No, that's for sure.
Would the lye cover it up?
No, that was underneath the ground.
Yeah.
So they put Mikey in there. They put the lime on top of him. And then they put the horses on top of that.
Yeah.
But there's some blood everywhere.
Yeah.
With an autopsy, I mean, they literally said his guts spilled everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's literally like a pile of wet gunk all over the place.
Either we're talking about government inefficiency, which is not hard to believe.
Well, we just said they were very efficient. So, I mean.
I know.
Well, you know what, though? Here's the thing. My wife always tells me that the the world is not black and white; it is shades of gray. So, and I'm learning that. Thank you, Nicole.
She's a wise woman.
She is very wise.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to be
kind and beautiful as well.
I'm becoming more kind of in the middle myself. And yeah, she maybe it could be both. They could be very efficient. They could also just maybe something like
make a mistake.
Just miss something because they're, just kind of maybe if they're Russian or they're just not feeling it or something like that. And who knows, maybe they just didn't, do the due diligence. And
it's Labor Day weekend. They might have had plans. They'd
weird,
be like, fuck.
Weird upturned table. Don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is not like a daily, this is not like a 9 to 5. This is like you're called in.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You get the call and you're like a cool pager or something.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry, honey. I gotta go.
Gotta leave the barbecue. They need me.
I'll be back. Like, fuck, I'm drunk. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine.
How many of these people are just, it's like Andromeda Strain. You remember that movie where they like sent like military people to collect the scientists way back in the day? Yeah. Like I've always thought like how, and I know it's a trope now. A lot of movies have used it, but the idea of you're doing whatever you're doing and like this cavalcade of agents in a helicopter, a black helicopter, show up,
dude.
Like, dude, the world needs you. Bigfoot's on the loose in Michigan. Get a move. Or you'll sober up on the way. Get this boy some coffee.
Or if it's like me, if I get called into work and I've been drinking, I'm like, well, I've been drinking, boys. I will troubleshoot this over the phone.
Smart man.
So there you go.
You know what? Because it's 2024. It's not 77.
Exactly.
It's a different
77.
77 drunk. I think you had to have a shot before you got behind the wheel.
Give me the goddamn 15-16, boys. We're going in.
Wow.
There you go.
Not the 15-16.
It's my favorite wrench, the 15-16. It's the dumbest measurement, but I love it.
They didn't find it. And we just have to live with
I'm going to need that socket, goddammit.
They didn't have their 15-16 socket. They couldn't dig the grave.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
So it's fucked up, but we're going to live with it.
Here we go.
All right. So they left when the sun went down. Randy continues, later that day, my sister returned, but the government people had already gone. The rest of the holiday weekend, Labor Day weekend, was pretty quiet until we had to go back to school. When the first day of school came, Tim didn't show up. He stayed with his aunt. He was still mad at his dad, but his two brothers and his sister showed up, and the two neighbor boys, Brad and Brian. Brian, you'll recall, is the guy who was poking at Mikey's ass in the tube with a stick.
Yes.
Brad's the amateur photographer.
Yep, gotcha. He was there for the amateur autopsy as well.
Which you'll say, the older boy with the camera and his little brother. We all got on the bus, and they were talking about it, and the oldest boy, since they had a darkroom and a camera, he decided that they were going to bring the pictures to school. It was the beginning of the end.
Oh, boy. So they're breaking all the protocols, apparently, what they were told not to do.
I mean, what kid doesn't do that, though? Like, if I was his age, I totally would have brought the shit to school.
Well, yeah, I mean, 100%.
I mean, how do you not? I mean, you have this.
How do the agents not know? Well, they didn't know that Brad was there. Because they didn't even find the body. Goddamn picnic table.
Right.
So they had no clue that Brad had all these pictures sitting in his dark room, which is obviously his parents. Yeah, this is a recipe for disaster.
Sure is.
This is a really bad first week of school.
Bringing your dead Bigfoot pics on the bus and showing them off to all the kids.
Autopsied Bigfoot pictures. Yeah. Not just like it's dead, you're like, we filleted it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really bad.
Big bloody fucking Bigfoot pics.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And it's like, now you're the hipster in the fucking back row of the fucking school bus.
Jesus. All right.
So, yeah, it's a problem. And spoiler alert, people aren't going to be happy.
Yeah, no, Gee, oh, God, all right. Yeah. No, geez, this is, it's like a weird version of Rotten.com, man. It's real weird.
Yeah.
Real
no,
weird.
You're right. Ogreish,
weird,
all that heinous
those
part of the early
fucking
internet.
Scummy early fucking sites where you're like, you want to see a dead body? You're like, no, sure as fuck don't.
Never did.
No, never did.
Never do.
No, and then people email them to you.
If it's made of latex and exploding,
sure.
Fuck yeah. If it's an Italian movie from like 78 to 83,
if
fuck yeah.
If Folky's directing it, I'm there.
Once it's a real dead body, not interested.
Exactly.
No bueno.
Well,
next week,
son of a bitch.
And this is my outro, we will get to the actual final chapter of Mikey's story.
Oh, man.
And the arrival of the much vaunted Kiss Army. They're coming. And they are a force to be reckoned with for a time.
Excellent. All right, man. Well, next week, pop in part 5, the Kiss Army. But there it is, man. Part 4, the body. Yeah, that was gruesome.
Oh, yeah.
We went a little true crime for a second.
It sure
there.
did.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, we've never really. I mean, that's not our bread and butter.
No,
but,
no, not at all.
I mean, I think I would get sad and grimmed out if I had to like constantly read about that and write about that.
I listen to like true crime stuff all the time.
And I'm sure it's wonderful,
but like I don't like. We obviously don't talk about like super grisly shit.
Because I have to like deep dive into everything.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you consider the implications of what happened is that they did an amateur autopsy on a goddamn juvenile Bigfoot.
No, I'm not saying this is happy-go-lucky.
For the field of cryptozoology, that's fucking huge.
You know who would love that?
Who's that?
Grover Krantz.
How would Lord Coleman feel about this?
I don't know, honestly. I don't think he'd be too big of a fan.
No, he probably wouldn't be. But yeah, man, wow, that's a lot.
Jeff Meldrum would not approve.
No,
but he'd also want to be there for it.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, everybody.
Because he's a fucking science magnet.
Yeah, man. So with the arrival of the agency and then the pictures and then being told what not to do and then doing it anyway, whoo, boy, that's
And it's all gonna come crashing down.
Oh man, that's one spicy meatball right there, dude. Holy
so part
shit.
5 is also another
right.
ride. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this is one of the first episodes I think we've ever done. There's a cryptid who's not alive. I mean, there's a impromptu Bigfoot like, we want our boy, and like, fuck you, I'm shooting, and they run away.
Totally.
But I mean, this story demands to be told.
I mean, this literally is one of the craziest Bigfoot stories ever. This is insane.
The moment I stumbled on it, I'm like, first off, I was like, fucking yes.
Yeah.
And secondly, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I was like, there's nothing we can do but tell it.
It just goes so many different ways.
And it's going to get darker and weirder. Maybe not dark, not bloodier, thankfully, but it definitely goes into some crazy places. And then we'll just wrap it up, and hopefully Chris will be here to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
I sent him the script, so he at least will know.
Oh yeah, no,
what's happened.
He's editing this for the video stuff too,
so he'll know.
Definitely, see
yeah.
So.
Of course.
All right, man. Well, there it is. Thank you all so very much for joining us, Cryptonaut Podcast. Boy, Robert.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment here, friend.
Let's do it.
To thank the good folks
that
support us over there.
Saints one and all.
On Patreon.
God bless them.
At patreon.com.
You keep this ship afloat.
Yes.
Sometimes the ship is like an overturned picnic table, and we're just pretending it's a raft.
Little bit, yes.
And you guys give us the inflatables that keep us going.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you, Dr. Log.
Thank you, Dr. Log.
I think I said it right.
I'm sure that's like some like ice ship mice elf or something, but we're just gonna go with it, man. Whatever.
Dr. Log.
Yeah,
that's fun. Stephen Medberry.
Thank you, Stephen.
Oh, this one's gonna be a challenge for me. I'm gonna do it though. Emulus.
Thank you.
Emulus. Again, I say it every time because there's always a name I'll fuck up. If we fucked it up, let us know.
Yeah,
we'll say it again.
100%.
Freebie.
There you go.
Daniel Sladd.
Thank you, Daniel.
Morgan West Hamblin.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's a cool name.
I like it.
John Michael Hatch. It's a first name with a hyphen.
It is. Thank you, Michael.
Like Jan Michael Vincent, except John Michael Hatch.
Dude.
Well done.
Nice.
Airwolf for Life. That's another fucking video.
Yeah,
I don't know if that came out yet.
It did.
Oh, God. Airwolf for days.
It was super fun.
I'm a Blue Thunder man, but that's just me.
It's okay.
Incubus Jules.
Thank you, Incubus Jules.
One word. Dorothy Johnstone.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Dorothy, you didn't have to.
We appreciate it.
Honestly, you didn't. You know what you did? You spent your own hard-earned money to help us out, and thank you, Dorothy. I'm saying this to all of you, even though I'm singling out Dorothy.
It's okay.
I sometimes wonder if I'm supposed to pronounce it Dorothy. I know that's not right.
No, it's just Dorothy.
Yeah. That second O throws me for a loop.
No, it's a tough one. I get it.
Dorothy.
Dorothy. Yeah.
Dorothy. Yeah, I think I got it right. Dorothy Johnstone, thank you.
Yes.
Along with everyone else. I know I've just hammered your name into oblivion. Last, never fucking least, the King, Campbell Richmond.
Thank you, Mr. Richmond. We appreciate
Thank you, everybody
all
who
of
supports
your
us.
Monthly support over there. Again, that is it.
No idea how much we appreciate it.
Patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. We got the $1, the $5, the $10. All you $10 folks out there watching us weekly do the pod. Yes, again, thank you for all your support there. We will have some Discord events coming up that we will be announcing very soon. So if you're not on the Discord, be sure to join up and do that. We got the merch over there at the old hellerspace.com and the cryptonautmerch.com. All kinds of TeePublic sales going on. You know why? Because school's back, baby.
School's back.
School's back, so all kinds of fun
you know
sales.
what? It's going to be a little late. It's going to be late for back to school, but I just finished an incredible design on a t-shirt that just needs your text brilliance.
All right, well, send it over.
And it is definitely a slightly delayed, maybe in October, back to school
that's
surprise.
Fine. Yeah, send it over. No,
I think
we
people
got it.
I think you know what I'm talking about, and I think people are gonna fucking love it.
Dude, send it on over. We'll get that fucker up there. Maybe you know what? In time for Christmas.
Well before
the holidays are around the corner.
Long before. I mean, Halloween. It'll be in time for Halloween. Before that,
hopefully.
it's only what? It's like very early September.
Yeah,
I'm finished with it. How long does it take you to throw some words together? Oh no, but I got some design for you. We got to work on it.
Yeah, so
it marks the designer.
You know what?
Like it's a 50-50 thing. Like this shit wouldn't exist without both of us.
It'll get there. We're gonna get this one out for you.
I'm really proud of this one.
So we got that. We got the socials, the Instas, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the TikToks. Check us out there
we're
on TikTok.
TikTok.
Cryptonaut Podcast. Same as our Instagram.
TikTok and you don't stop.
So check us out there, and we'll be back next week with the final part of this.
Yes,
you have your hand out.
I do. We have two things that I'd like to mention.
Okay.
One is this hat, constructed, handmade, this trucker hat by our dear friend Noah.
Yep.
Who you can see on the video, but you can't see anywhere else. And I think it was just exclusive to the three of us.
It was, yeah.
So you can't buy it,
some super
but it's
awesome
fucking
hats.
awesome. And Noah, thank you if you're listening. This is amazing. And also,
it was like 4 years ago, I think.
Though I don't think we have it. Richard Freeman sent us his new book.
Oh, he did. No, it's High Strangeness from our buddy Richard Freeman. That's available, I'm pretty sure, on Amazon. Actually.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
Copies, signed and everything.
The cover's brilliant, cool. And a little illustration in mine of the Owl Man of Cornwall.
Yes, yeah,
with the little crab claws on his feet.
Yeah,
I love it. So
dude.
I mean, he's been a cryptozoologist for fucking years. Like I remember watching this guy on like the History Channel in the 90s and going, holy shit, he's living the dream life. He gets to chase the Mongolian death worm. He's written a lot of amazing books. And since we very first started, he's not only been a supporter, but he's like mentioned us in the acknowledgement of his book for like something, his different books over the years.
Yeah, for sure.
For, listening for it. So I wanted to give him a huge thank you and congratulate him on his new book.
Yeah, High Strangeness. Freeman. Yeah,
and
awesome.
It's full of crazy, some of which we touched, some of which we haven't, and that we will definitely be harvesting from that book.
Oh, dude,
and
for
so,
sure.
Thank you, Richard. I mean, obviously your work is appreciated. Your writing is fucking awesome, and we are always grateful. So do yourself a favor, go to Amazon or wherever you buy books and pick that up. And,
definitely. Support Richard and all those books. Got a ton of them out there, so yeah, check it out.
And it's just, he's lived a life of wild adventure.
No,
it's
sure.
incredible.
Definitely.
So anyway, that is the final thing I wanted to say, and thank you everyone who supports us. Thank you for listening. Get ready for the final part of Mikey's saga, Kiss Army. It is, I know I promised the same name next week. I promise you there won't be like a faux insert. There's really only enough left
Excellent.
for us to break down, but oh no, we'll get to it next week. I'm just so excited.
Yeah, no, thank you all so very much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Goodbye, friends.
Goodbye.